podcast contain graphic language. What's going on out there, MGTOW? What's going on out there in Shell? What's going on in the ministry? What's going on in the internet? welcome to the Rogan podcast. One of the hottest podcasts in the world, believe it or not. I'm kind of fatigued and tired and stuff like that. So, if this is your first time in this fucking podcast, guess what? It's a motherfucking shit show. So, no further ado, let's start with the intro. And I'll be right back. Here we go, gentlemen. What's going on, gentlemen? I am back on the scene. What's going on? Write comments, hit thumbs up, all kinds of shit. Whatever you want to do, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter to me. Who's out there in the East House tonight? You gotta bear with me because my eyes are fucked up. And I'm dealing with a small device and stuff like that. So big shout out to the crew out there, and stuff like that. So let's start this really fast, really quickly, and let's get to the nitty gritty of shit. Because I don't have much time because I gotta get up in the morning and do shit. That's what men do. We do shit. All right. So even on to this article on my feed, right? Which I'm gonna play it for you. And the sound quality is not gonna be proper, but the message is there. Okay. So if you bear with me, so let me play this thing here. And this is regarding to the Seattle Tiempo, the Seattle Times. So the Seattle Times decided to do this article regarding to men and women in the top cities where there's more single men than women. Okay. All right. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's how it is. I didn't make this shit up. And I would get the respective white men are not dating and stuff like that, especially these type of men. Okay, so we're gonna put this in perspective. So if you bear with me, I'm having a sip of water. I'm about to let up a little weed here and there before hit the sack. So just bear with me, gentlemen. So the Seattle Temple put its article, and the article goes like this: the Seattle Times. Seattle has one of the highest ratio single men to single women. All right. And that's the article. So let me play you the article, and then I can digest it, and men can make their own opinion or make their own choice, whatever, right? So, and then after this, I'm gonna talk about the little campfire they got out there in Los Angeles, just a little bit, because on my previous podcast, I put this in perspective, and I was right when it first came out. I was right. Most of the stuff that I talked about, I was right. I was correct. So let's start with Seattle out here on the West Coast, because you are in the West Coast of the United States of America. Big shout out to other countries out there listening: Australia, New Zealand, the UK, South America, Mexico, the Caribbeans and stuff like that. They listen to the podcast. So, according to the Seattle Times, which is, I understand that it can correlate. So I'm going to repeat this again, okay? And just bear with me, because I found this kind of fascinating and very interesting. The Seattle has one of the highest ratio of single men to single women. So I'm going to play you here, because I'm not going to read it. I'm going to play you, the article. All right. Just an article. That's it. So just bear with me, gentlemen. I'm dealing with some cheap ass equipment, but the message is get done. Here we go.
Seattle.
See, that's what happens when you do live stream. You try to coordinate it. Try to make it the best you can, but some shit happens. Let me see what happened here.
Seattle has one of the highest ratios of single men to single women. Published by the Seattle Times. It's sometimes said that dating is a numbers game. The more people you meet, the better your chances of finding that special someone.
Oh, the hitter kick.
That's why a lot of single people have turned to dating apps, which can help cast a wider net. When it comes to improving your odds in dating, where you live may also play a role. New census data shows in some cities, the dating pool has a greater supply of single men, while in others, single women are more abundant. And as it turns out, Seattle's single scene has one of the biggest gender imbalances among major U.S. cities, with men significantly outnumbering women. According to census data for 2023, there were 120.5 unmarried men under 45 in Seattle for every 100 unmarried women under 45. That was the fourth highest ratio of men to women among the 50 largest U.S. cities ranked by total population. Seattle singles skew male. There were about 121 unmarried men under 45 per 100 unmarried women under 45 in Seattle in 2023, ranking as the fourth most skewed toward men among the 50 largest U.S. cities. Does this mean Seattle single men face heightened competition in the dating market? And conversely, Seattle single women can afford to be a bit more picky? Perhaps, but of course, this statistic doesn't capture things like individual preferences and other complexities of human relationships. There are other caveats about the data. For one, unmarried people are not necessarily single, as there are certainly a lot of people in committed relationships who are not yet married or who have chosen not to marry. Another thing to keep in mind is that the sexual orientation of the unmarried population is not factored into this data. There are probably several factors contributing to Seattle's gender imbalance among singles, and you may have already guessed the most likely one: tech. The tech industry in Seattle and other cities attracts a predominantly male workforce, and the most recent census data shows 75% of Seattle residents employed in tech jobs were male. Bolstering this theory, the data shows two of the other cities where unmarried men under 45 greatly outnumber their female counterparts are tech hubs. San Jose, the largest city in Silicon Valley, had the greatest single male skew among the 50 most populous cities, with about 124 unmarried young men per 100 unmarried young women. Austin ranked second, at around 122 men per 100 women. The third-place city, Colorado Springs, had a ratio of 121 young unmarried men per 100 young unmarried women. Colorado Springs is not generally considered a tech hub, but its largest employer is another male-dominated industry, the U.S. military. There are 3 Air Force facilities in the Colorado Springs area, as well as an Army base. The U.S. Census Bureau only recently began calculating the ratio of young unmarried men to young unmarried women. It first appeared in the 2021 release of the Bureau's annual American Community Survey. In that year, Seattle's ratio was about 115 unmarried young men per 100 unmarried young women, so the 2023 data shows the male skew has increased a bit. Most large cities, 36 out of the 50, skew a bit more male than female when it comes to the young, unmarried population. That is at least in part because women tend to marry earlier than men. Census data shows the median age for first marriage in 2023 was 28.7 years for women and 30.6 years for men. Even so, there are cities where the young, unmarried population skews female. 2 such cities tied for the number 1 spot, Baltimore and Washington, D.C., both with about 86 single guys per 100 single women. Boston ranked third with around 91 men per 100 women. There was just 1 city among the 50 largest with a perfect gender balance, Charlotte, North Carolina, with exactly 100 young unmarried men per 100 young unmarried women.
All right, so according to the data, and take this like a small grain of salt, okay? And out here in the Seattle area, right? It's a 100 men to 115. So that's 15 chicks, right? Now, due to the fact, let's put this in perspective, especially where I live at out here, right? 100 men and 115 chicks, right? Right? That's math. Give or take, 15 of these chicks are fucking nuts. Crazy bananas. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this in a different perspective. Out of 100 men, I say, living in this crazy town that I live at, I say 75% of women that are single, they're crazy. They ain't some kind of on drugs, antidepressant, and stuff like that. So the odds are looking good for men. You have to understand that out here in the West Coast, there is a lot of fucking crazy bitches. Of course, there's a lot of crazy men, but there are more crazy bitches than men. So no wonder men in Seattle going MGTOW. They're going MGTOW, man, going their own way. They dealing with tech. They're dealing with this shit. They got money in their pockets. They got this and shit. And they ain't worry about that stuff. You know? The odds are more favorable to men than women. Men, we can take care of ourselves and shit like that, and work and stuff like that, and blah, blah, blah. Maintain a house and stuff like that, and shit. Women need men. So the odds are like, great. I'll take that number. 100 men and 100 women. 115 women. Well, eliminate the crazy bitches. 80% to like 90%, I take it. I take it. I take this shit to the bank. Because, listen, man, to put this in perspective, where I live at out here on the Pacific Northwest, go do a simple Google search. Do yourself a favor. If you do yourself a favor, go a Google search. Beautiful women in Seattle. And you're going to see what comes up. And what comes up is literally the truth. No shit. Because I did it. I was like, let me Google some shit, right? After reading the article, because my mind, my mind don't trick me, right? I read the article like a couple hours ago, and I was like, why? And I try to connect the dots, and then I understand and realize that in all these cities and stuff like that, there's a lot of single men who's dealing with tech and stuff like that, and it's correct, it's correct. Some of these articles, this particular article with the demographic and stuff like that, is pretty much correct. It is correct. Because men are busy doing shit. Not only that, men are aware. Men are aware. They are aware of human nature. And they avoid them as much possible. For the first time in recorded history, men are aware of women behavior. And the government who support them. Men not dumb. Man, we're not dumb. We understand this shit. And you saw the demographic between 22 and 45. This was happening with this men going their own way and shit like that. It's not new. It's not new. It's been amplified by the internet. This shit's not new. It's not new. When men sacrifice themselves and shit like that and do this thing, and they saw other men sacrifice themselves and stuff like that, and see other men sacrifice this shit like that, and they end up and getting bankrupt and getting stuff, and men say, you know what? I got to be selective of my mate. And if I don't have a mate, it's fine. I'm cool with it. All I need is just have my sexual fulfillment. After that, I don't want a mate. I get it. I understand it. That's a man's point of view. But the skank ass bitches, they don't get it. They think they're gonna marry a sucker and take care of them and stuff like that. Yes, that happens. But when it comes down to the cities where they got these techies out there and stuff like that and doing work and shit, these motherfuckers, they're not trying to hear that shit. They're not. They out there busy doing research and this and that. I don't know how these operate with the technology. I don't know how to be. I don't have one iota what these men do on the computer. How can I phrase this? The algorithm, the mathematic, the engineering, and stuff like that, and shit like that. I don't know, I don't have no clue about it. You know. They out there busy in Silicon Valley and Seattle and Oregon and shit like that, doing different business strategies or different technology and stuff. I don't know how this shit works. I'm not an engineer or quantum physics, but I figured out these men are busy doing science shit, and they don't have no time for no shenanigans and bullshit, unless they want to. So obviously they don't want to. Obviously they don't want to. So the odds of 100 men in Seattle to 115 chicks, guess what? The odds are pretty good for men. But men have to eliminate the fucking crazy bitches, even though she's hot and stuff like that and shit. And most men nowadays, especially these young guys, they don't fall for that fake asses and stuff like that. Yes, some of them do, but not a lot of them, especially in this type of field of what they do. You know, they understand this shit. They have to do some quantum physics or whatever they do out there for companies and shit. And I don't know. I do not know. But the roles are reversing. Oh, yeah. To be honest, to put this in perspective, as for me as a man, right? Because we men going our own way. That doesn't mean that women are bad all the time and shit like that. But me as a libertarian, men going their own way, don't fuck with me. I don't fuck with you. Fuck with me. I fuck with you, right? It just dawned on me like for years, but for the last, I say 6 months, I'm looking at videos out there in my feed, on my personal feed with Facebook and stuff. And the feed comes out with Latin American country and culture and shit like that, right? And I'm looking at how men behave, and I'm looking at how women behave and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, how the Western women behave, especially living in the West Coast. And I tried to do a comparison and shit like that. And it came to my mind, it's like, which, by the way, I never been married before. I mean, I've been a single man all my life. Yes, I have kids and stuff out of wedlock, whatever, you know. I was forced into fatherhood, but I'm looking at this, the new perspective, and women gonna be women. I understand, but it's very curious to watch men and women in these so-called Latin countries, you know, South America and stuff like that. And women still gonna behave the same, right? and men gonna behave the same, but it's not as so. The women out there, they're more fit, and the men out there are more fit physically. Out here, there's a bunch of fucking fat fucks and shit, right? Let's be honest, it's a bunch of fucking fat fucks. So sometimes I put in my mind, my crazy mind scenario, and I was like, if I ever want to get married or cohabitate, I would definitely go to this country or that country, not here. Not United States. Fuck no. No way. No fucking way. No way. I will not do it. That's why they got their passport bros and shit. They figure this thing out. They figured it out. It's easy. The Western skank is done. Yes, it's done. What happened to my water? Hold on 1 second here. Oh yeah. So let's go back to the fire. My apologies for the bipolar the bipolar podcast. My apologies. I am a man with very, very intriguing mind. Right? I am. I'm intrigued by a lot of shit. So, for some reason, I do believe, call me a nut, call me crazy, I get it. It's not for you to understand it. It's for me to realize it. Okay? So, I think it was Saturday. Mel Gibson go to Joe Rogan podcast. Right? I don't listen to Joe Rogan podcast all the time, but I listen sometimes. And when I listen to his shit, I got to buckle up, right? I got to buckle up. Whoever the guest is, I got to buckle up and take it as a grain of salt, whatever, right? But it's a great conversation, especially when I'm on the road and I'm driving and I'm doing multitasking and I'm listening and shit like that. So I'm listening to Mel Gibson and Joe Rogan podcasts doing my work. And then halfway through it, because it's 3 hours long, it's 2.5. His podcast 2.5, 3 hours long, right? It's a conversation, right? And I like one-on-one conversation, So I cut it off. I come home. I take a shower, do this thing. I was like, oh, let me finish the podcast. Well, I did not finish it that day. I finished it the next day. So the next day, all hell broke loose out there in Los Angeles, right? Now, you're going to hear the clip with Mel Gibson talking about what took place or what his intuition is, right? And he did not only talk about that, he talked about all kinds of stuff, right? Because if you want to have a dialogue, you have to have a dialogue about everything, okay? Like how the pyramids were built, how they came about. The podcast was fucking in my realm. It was like, I'm there. I get it. With both of them listening and talking to each other, right? Because they was like, how the pyramids got built and this and that and blah, 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 so forth. And I'm the topic, man, how this shit got built. Matter of fact, and I mentioned this in my previous podcast, that we never landed on the moon. And Elon Musk, he's a full of shit. That he gonna go to Mars, he's full of shit. Right? So I'm listening to the podcast, Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson and stuff like that. And they talk about all kinds of stuff, you know. So the next day, which is this soundbite, is going viral. Mel Gibson go out there and Fox News and shit. Right? And I want to play this for you. Because I mentioned this when this took place a couple days ago. And I put the podcast. I'm like, look who's here, look who's there, look at the DI, look at this, that, look at that. And I'm always looking for the rabbit hole, how deep it goes. At the end of the podcast that I put out there, in my mind, I came in with my own conclusion. It took place in Maui, and it's taking place in LA County, where they got the most higher real estate besides Maui. Right? Because sometimes, to be honest, when all these fires and all this shit and all these psychological warfare that they played on us, on human being, you have to understand or come to your own realization what is bullshit and what is truth. For the last fucking 4 years, they fed us a bunch of bullshit. See, the bullshit started in 2001. And then the bullshit amped up until now. You gentlemen remember this took place, what, 4 years ago? Wear a mask. Oh, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a vaccine came about. This and that. Right? And then this, they always play some kind of circus shit on your mind. Right? This is how I see this thing, right? And I'm gonna be honest, you know, I feel the same way. To be honest, I feel the same way that Mel Gibson did on his so-called Fox News with Ingram. I want to play you a soundbite. My last podcast, listen to it. Just listen to it. Especially at the end. I call the DEI program bullshit. All this stuff bullshit and stuff like that. Gavin Newsom. I hate this motherfucker. I do not understand what the people in California have elected this guy so many times. I live in the West Coast. And I do understand the Californian mentality. They think they cool and trendy and everything's cool and stuff. And, you know, they really do. Californians, they think they're the coolest shit on earth. Trendy. I've been in Santa Monica. I've been this. I'm from this Bay Area. Whatever the fuck they come from. Like, what the fuck you doing out here? Go out there with the sunshine then, motherfucker. But anyways, I digress. Just bear with me. Oh yeah. Okay, let me get my other one. Just bear with me. Just 1 minute on here. Just 1 minute. Just 1 man dealing with some shit here. What the fuck happened here? Okay, here we go.
Were you able to get
Let's see what happened to the speaker. The speaker's supposed to be on. Just bear with me. Here we go. All right, we rocking. And if you haven't seen the Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson podcast, go check it out. I'm gonna put the link on the live stream here. Check it out. It's 3 hours, fascinating stuff. Two men talk about different topics and stuff like that. You have to get your noodle open and realize what's going on 2025 and what took place in 25 years ago. You cannot be naive for the situation that we are living on. So, the last live stream that I put out here, my intuition was correct because it did not kind of fit in my mind, right? Because it did not make sense. to put this in perspective, let me play Mel Gibson out here.
Were you able to get possessions? Of course, they're really immaterial when you have your family, but I've been to your house. It was an incredible home, beautiful home. But were you able to get anything out of your house?
Not much. A few necessary things. You know, my son I said, just go and grab this and this and this. And he grabbed like 3 things and took off. And then, you know, those are okay. Stuff like passports and a couple of papers and stuff like that. But by and large, everything was just, it looked, when I got there the other day, I went up there yesterday, it looked like Dresden, you know, after Bomber Harris got through with it. Yeah.
Mel.
So nothing left.
All right, so here we go, the next one. Just bear with me.
I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel. Mel, a message tonight.
You know, I'll sift through the remains of my place and see if I can find any clues for you.
Wow. Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel.
So there you go, folks. Do yourself a favor. All right? Do yourself a favor, gentlemen. Listen to the podcast of Mel Gibson and Joe Rogan. Just listen to this shit. It's so bizarre because the podcast took place before the fire happened, or was doing the fire and stuff like that. The universe is so fucking confusing and connected. They just like, you think about this stuff right like a week later, and it's still burning out there. There's 60 miles going on out there in Los Angeles County and the other county and stuff like that. And they're talking about it's going to be between 60 miles to 70 miles per hour of winds going on out there in Southern California. Who knows how this shit going to turn out? I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I don't work with the wind and stuff like that. But to put this in perspective, and I'm going to call up the live stream, right? And I'm going to start with the what they call the big cities, single men outnumbering women. So basically, men are taking care of their own business. They don't want to have to deal with fucking skank. If a man wants to fuck a bitch, he can get a prostitute, he can do whatever, a date or whatever, stuff like that. He's not taking his bitch seriously because the bitch is not seriously and stuff like that. This is happening in major tech cities like San Jose, like Los Angeles, like Seattle, like Portland, and all these tech, where they got these tech guys who do technology and stuff like that, which I don't know what they do, but they are busy doing technology shit, dealing with AI and whatever, all kinds of shit they do out there, right? So they're not dealing with skank ass bitches. And another perspective that I don't think that, yes, it took place, natural catastrophe, it takes place, you know, natural fires, earthquakes, stuff like that take place. But if it take place, hurricanes and stuff like that, your state better be prepared to deal with this type of natural disaster. Now, my thesis and my noodle, because to be honest, what took place in Southern California is kind of like dictated, right? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why the reservoir, they empty? Why didn't have enough water? Why the fire hydrant don't have the pressure? Why this? Why the wires, the electric wires so close from the trees and stuff like that, you know? Who's running this rodeo out there in Southern California? Who's running it? I've been in the Bay Area. Beautiful. Fucking the Bay Area is beautiful. I've been in the Bay Area. I've been on Monterey. I've been in Santa Cruz. Out there. Beautiful out there. Shit. Cali's beautiful. And, well, it was beautiful. I never been in LA. I've been in the Bay Area, Oakland, you know, so on and so forth. Frisco, San Jose, all the way to Monterey and stuff. Beautiful, beautiful out there. I never been in LA. And this was like, what, 12 years ago, something like that. Last time I went out there. Something, either it was planned out, in my point of view, right? Something was planned out. Why did the government of California did not take care of this business? Or they was neglected, or which I want to say this regarding to this matter, they cipher the money for them. And I'm leaning, they cipher the money for themselves. All these government officials, all these government employees, all this DEI got to do with the government. Everybody got to get their money on. The paws, the dirty, filthy claws, the paws and the money, and did not go to the basic foundation where your local government should be prepared to events like this. Southern California was not prepared for that. Now, to put this in perspective, do you know the state of California is the 5th top city country in the world economic-wise? It's the 5th top economy in the world. One state, California. Don't believe me? Look it up. Top economy in the world. Top 5 in the world. One state, California. So you trying to tell me one of the top 5 economy in the world cannot take care of their own citizens by having little here, trim this, have reservoir, this, that, shit like that, and stuff like that. Who's running the show? I don't know. I do not know who's running the show. All I know that this southern state of California has been burning for 6 days, and they're about to go another 3 more days with some fucking crazy ass wind between 50 and 70 speed per mile. I'm just asking questions here. That's it. And trying to connect the dots. Nothing more, nothing less, gentlemen. That's it. I'm just asking questions. I'm just a goofy motherfucker out here after the grind. I'll open up my mouth, I'll smoke a bowl of weed, and matter of fact, talk about smoking a bowl of weed, have a few beer, and talk shit. Sometimes, I'm about to call it off, by the way. Sometimes my mind works differently, right? It was really bizarre. Sometimes I think to myself, I won't go as far as the end of the world, right? I don't go as far, but my belief that I think that some parts of the United States are collapsing. They are total collapse. I can see it on a daily. I live on the West Coast. I see homeless, drug addicts all the fucking time. This shit, all this stuff where it wasn't like this 4 years ago. I do not know where these people came from, and stuff like that. And everything's overpriced. And shit and crime is like bananas. You can go to your store without, out here in the West Coast, without getting a motherfucker. Hey. You gotta press a button, right? And you gotta get toothpaste, and it's locked up and shit. Or you wanna buy a bar of soap, or you wanna buy laundry detergent, it's locked up. You gotta hit this button and wait for this motherfucker to come and help you out. You know? I think, and this is my thought. I know I'm going to different topics and stuff like that. But I think the so-called empire is collapsing. It's collapsing. It's been collapsing slowly, but now it's more rapid. It's more rapid than ever, man. Well, gentlemen, like I always say, peace. Stay MGTOW. I will catch you next podcast, live stream, a video. Let the universe be with you.